All right, so we are back again with the famous Lance Romance. We are super excited about this. There's been so much happening. Since your last podcast with us, you've changed the album title from Life of a Showgirl to simply Showgirl. You know, we're
Yes.
super. What prompted that shift?
Well, so I made the R&B mixes of Taylor Swift's album, The Life of a Showgirl. They both were supposed to drop at the same time, which was October 3rd on a Friday. Of course, Taylor dropped. She sold 4 million copies in 1 week. And because I had the same title and the same song titles as well as the album title, except for my album title had R&B Mixes at the end, The Life of a Showgirl R&B Mixes. Universal Records, which is the head distributor of her label, Republic Records, did a political move to CD Baby, which is my distributor, to pause my release because they wanted to make sure that there weren't going to be anybody confused on buying my album and not hers. Now, she's
Oh,
big Taylor Swift. So even though I'm just Lance Romance, in the corporate world, it only takes a few things for someone to go viral for the algorithms to switch. And they didn't want anybody going online and just Googling The Life of a Showgirl and buy Lance's record instead of Taylor's record. So they did what they do and blocked me from releasing it until 3 weeks later.
oh,
And then when I had to release it, they said, you can't release the same title. So I just
what?
dropped it. Yeah. And that's against the law technically, but I've been in the industry
What?
40 years. Yeah. So I just went along with it because I know what it is that they, meaning the industry, wants me to sign to them as to a major label. I've been in music publishing with Sony and EMI. They know I know the game, but I haven't signed to being on the majors, and that irritates them. So it's kind of like if you were Michael Jordan, not saying I'm Michael Jordan, and you didn't want to play in the league. They'd be like, why wouldn't you want to play in the league? Right? You're making good music, you know what to do. Just join us. And I'm like,
Just
nah, I'm
join.
good. Just join. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay indie. So
That's power,
they're like,
baby. That's
okay.
power right there.
So I'm like, all right. So they said, like, you stay indie. You're not going to release we're going to hold your record for 3 weeks.
Oh,
And that's
no.
what they did. So anyway, fast forward. I'm here. I released it. But the beauty of what Beats to Rap On did was you interviewed me 2 days after the actual release. And your podcast says Life of a Showgirl, Lance Romance, Taylor Swift, all the right things. So based on what you did, you cemented my reputation of truth online, and they could never erase it because they can't control you. So you
Holy shit.
validated, yeah. You gave me a proof where, I had to change the Showgirl, but when I did Beats to Rap On, it was Life of a Showgirl R&B
Yeah,
mixes.
that's it.
So that you can never erase it. The internet, it's there.
It's
So
there, baby. Yeah.
it's there. So I'm glad that you did the interview. I'm glad we did it. And I'm glad that you allowed me to be on your platform, which the industry can't control, which is a beauty of why, though, like before we had the business conversation about expanding, this is exactly why Beats to Rap On, these platforms are important, so they don't have to conform to the traditional corporate way of the industry.
Love that, baby. I love that.
So this is really important because this might go down in college or universities that, the industry stopped this guy with the same title because he didn't want to join forces, and they blocked him, but they knew they couldn't really block him forever, but they blocked him for 3 weeks and told him he had to change the title of the album.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Man, I'm
Yeah.
so glad we're here doing this.
Yeah, so this is like history because one day
Love
people are
that.
going to say, wow, the industry has that much. You know what? It was a good and bad thing. At first, I was a little bitter because the momentum of the first week of your sales is the importance of your release of your record,
Right.
right? That first week. And look, I'm not going to do what Taylor did, 4 million, but let's just say I did 40,000. 40,000 is not 4 million, but 40,000 times $10 is 400 grand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's still
That's a
money.
lot.
Not
That's a
40,
lot.
right? Right? If I just sold 40 grand, not 4 million, not even 50,000, just
Yeah.
40,000, right?
Yeah.
If I sold just 1%, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still making 400 grand, but they stopped it. Just stop it. 1%, just one. Because there's enough curious people that would say, well, what does that version sound like of Taylor's album?
So it sounds like what I have to do then is we have to get another blog post going with Life of a Showgirl,
Yeah,
remix by LinnDrum.
yeah. A whole nother thing. But I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm so happy that I got to be on Beats to Rap On with you, and it cemented that I did it first. So there you
Thank you.
have it. Yes. So thank you very much.
And you know what? After this, I'm going to write a blog post and I'm going to put it out again with Life of a Showgirl because people need to know.
And the beauty of it is, I got the email. You know how they say in the industry, the receipts. I got the
Right.
email. I couldn't even believe they sent me an email. It says, we can't release this record because it's the same title of Taylor Swift. I'm like, wow. Like, the crazy part is, if they thought I was that important, that means they're watching and they know there's potential. Because if they didn't care, that would have never happened. Right? I'm
Let's
just
light
little
them up.
Lance Romance.
Let's light them up, baby.
Line them up. Let's go.
Let's light them up. Man, I'd love to dig into kind of some more music foundation stuff. Like,
Okay, let's
if
do
you're
it.
cool with that.
Yes.
So New York to Texas and back, right? So you were
Yes.
born in New York, but raised in Texas. Walk us through the music that shaped you during those formative years.
Right. So when I left New York, it was probably, I was going into the 4th grade. So that was maybe like 1976. Right. So in New York, they were playing the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson and his brothers, right? Just giving you the landscaping of Motown, right?
So good.
The Motown sound, the Jacksons, Stevie Wonder, Marvin
Yeah.
Gaye,
So good.
Temptations, Diana Ross, the Supremes,
Yeah.
Motown. When I got to Texas, it was the Bee Gees.
Right. Right.
Do you understand? They were
Yeah,
not
that's like completely
Texas,
different.
completely different. It was the Bee Gees.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
cool.
Willie Nelson,
Yep.
Dolly Parton.
Yep.
It was, a country band called Alabama.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's completely
you,
different, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was, Harry Manilow,
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra. It was
Yeah.
more very, back then it was one chart. Elton John, very, very Elton-ish.
Yeah.
Beatles, the radio stations, Rolling Stones. They had a black station that used to go off the air. It only stayed on 9 to 5. And
Oh,
I think, yeah, and it was an AM station. The frequency wasn't even that strong.
right.
And by the time you get out of school at 3, I had football practice or basketball practice or baseball practice. By the time we get home, it's already past 5. We wouldn't be able to hear it.
Yeah.
So they have this radio show. This radio show. It used to be called Casey Kasem. And I think
Yeah, right.
Dick Clark took over, and they had another guy called Wolfman Jack, right? And it
Yeah,
was
it's
like
the big people.
yeah, Wolfman Jack, Casey Kasem, Dick Clark. top 40 radio. And it was
Yeah.
whatever the top 40 white tunes were.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it was.
yeah.
So I grew up listening to whatever that top 40 was.
Right.
So if it was the Bee Gees, the Beatles, Dolly Parton, Alabama, Willie Nelson,
Yeah.
any of that. If and if they let any black music come in, it would have been something like a Lionel Richie, Hello.
Okay. Got it.
You,
Yeah,
d-
yeah,
d-
yeah.
you understand what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a crossover, brother.
It's not like, proper hip hop
Nah,
or rap.
they didn't
Yeah.
even want to play R&B. Remember,
Yeah. Yeah.
MTV didn't even want to play Michael Jackson Thriller.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up back then. You know?
He's Michael Jackson, so so anyway,
Yeah.
so when I went to the skating rinks, because back in the day, the kids, we would go to the skating rink, the bowling
Yeah.
alley, and my first time of falling, I don't want to say falling in love, but having a crush was to I Want to Be Your Everything by Andy Gibb.
Okay.
He had Andy Gibb,
Yeah.
I Want to Be Your Everything, and Shadow Dancing,
Right.
So
Very nice.
yeah, so I was shaped more of an artist, me being an artist, my cadence, my flow,
Yep.
coming from Texas to New York in the world of rap, they considered me very white bread. Do
Right.
you understand? Because my
Oh.
my 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 texture was very light, very
Ah.
polite, very
Okay.
articulate, you know?
Right. Uh,
My pronunciation was clear. I didn't
right.
talk in a rap slang or ebonic format of
Okay.
rhythm. I was like the girl walked to the store, and then
Ri
in hip hop they'll be like the girl was chilling in this. I wasn't talking.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't s- I didn't have slang in my cadence because
Okay.
that's not who I was, and I didn't want to fake it. I didn't
Yeah.
want to be yo yo yo, and that's not how I was raised.
Yep.
I grew up in Texas. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Excuse me. Thank you. Can I? May I? Mannerism, chivalry.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that for rappers. I in the eyes of hip hop, if I wasn't a good producer, I probably wouldn't have got in because I was considered corny, right?
Right.
I was
Wow.
corny because I
Right,
didn't
yeah.
have a struggled story. I
Right.
didn't come from the projects. I didn't have a
Okay.
hard time. I wasn't a silver spoon kid, but I
Yeah.
always had a spoon, you know?
Yeah.
so so it was very different for me
Yeah.
because of my upbringing. So even till today, with having 50 albums,
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 of them might sound slangish, but that's not who I am. So I always kept it real. And I was
Yeah.
lucky enough to stay in it. So that's the music I grew up probably listening more to the Bee Gees
Yep.
than the
Nice.
Jacksons,
All
so that's
right.
what it is.
So, like, how did that duality influence how you hear and kinda create music today?
I think in the essence, let's say hip hop, the Sugar Hill Gang sampled Nile Rodgers' group Chic as one of the first disco records that they rapped on, right?
Yeah,
That
right.
record, the
Yeah.
Sugar Hill Gang record, is an actual
Yeah.
disco record that
Yeah.
they looped, and that's
Yep.
from the group Chic, right? And the record Good Times, those are the records. So while the New Yorkers were sampling R&B disco, I still wanted to sample disco, but it wasn't from a R&B group. It was from the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
So
That is
my ear,
crazy good.
right? So my ear was
Yeah.
like, you guys want to sample, Donna Summers.
Right. Yep.
I want to sample Andy Gibb. It's still disco, but
Yeah.
my ear felt comfortable with what I learned from the
It's
skating
different.
rink.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still disco, right?
Yeah.
I'm still on track. right?
Yeah.
But it was just a different flow. So it did influence me because it made me want to create pop music from the
Nice.
beginning.
Right.
You
Oh,
understand? So
yeah. Yeah.
that made me feel like that's a pop artist. The Bee Gees were pop.
Pop.
So
Yeah.
my music tend to, when people ask me, why do you like Taylor Swift? And
Uh,
why do you like Justin Bieber? Why do
yeah.
you like, Ariana Grande and Justin Timberlake and Miley Cyrus and even Sabrina Carpenter. I just like pop music because that's what I grew up liking. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
I like pop music. That's my ear was tuned to a certain melody, a chord, a lyrical arrangement that was different than listening to Motown,
Yeah. I was gonna
right?
say, like your flow and cadence have a distinctive musicality that kind of
Yes.
translates across all of the genres, So, how did we kind of talked about how you started developing this versatility, but let's break it down. I'd love to break it
Yes.
down. So
Yes.
let's maybe start with your background and band experience. Let's start there.
Right. So, yeah, so when you go to schools in Texas, you have to take um a a a musical course, or you could take what they consider like a language, like so Spanish or band,
Right.
and you had to play a sport.
Yep.
So I got into band, and when you are in band, you are around other kids still learning those instruments.
Yeah.
You play the wind instrument, right? You a flute?
Yeah. No, violin.
Violin. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're string.
Yep.
So
Strings.
if strings. So in band, you have to wait your turn to play
Yep.
so you
Yep.
could actually learn the chords. So you got to hear the trumpets, the
Yep.
horn, the flute, the clarinet, the alto sax, the tenor sax, the trombone. So you learn A, G flat, F sharp automatically because you're sitting in class while this guy is learning this on the trumpet. So your ears are now being trained as a musician. When I got to New York to start producing, 99.9% of the rappers never touched an instrument.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you
Holy.
understand? So
Yeah.
I'm
That's.
going in the studio knowing all these instruments. They're like, "What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
The
We
notes, the
just
name of
scratch
the
it up."
notes, where they sit, the
Do you
transcripts, like
understand?
the whole thing. Yeah.
And I'm in band
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
fifth grade. Fifth
Oh,
grade,
wow.
sixth grade, middle
Yeah.
school is when you start sixth grade. So
Okay.
seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, I'm in marching band. I worked
Yeah.
my way up and the first instrument I learned to play is a xylophone.
I was gonna say, like, because that flows into my next question, like your approach to percussion and rhythm, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
So
so
I
so is
started, yeah, so I started with the xylophone.
yeah.
I went from the xylophone to the bass drum. Then
Oh,
I
yeah.
became a snare drummer. Then I went to
Nice.
the Tim Toms,
Yep.
the three, and basically my ear was rhythm first, and that's how it led me to want to create. But even creating with rhythm, I'm still hearing instruments which really didn't have a foundation in early hip hop. It
Right.
was just a sample, a loop. There wasn't
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
playing. It wasn't like the band that they have now called The Roots,
Yeah. Yeah,
that
yeah.
that play behind Jimmy Fallon,
Yeah.
there
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't that. It was just the DJ,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Grandmaster Flash, Wizardor, Theodore,
Spinning
Cool Herc, spinning the records,
yeah.
Jazzy J, those, early pioneers, and then later Brucey B and Love Buzz Starsky, hip hop. There was no one talking about what key is that, what note is that, what instrument is. So listening to pop music growing up and learning instruments, I'm a totally different breed of a rapper
Well,
coming
you're a
back to New
musician.
York City. I'm a
Yeah,
musician.
like you're a musician. Let's dig into more about your approach to percussion and rhythm.
Yeah, I just think when I got back to New York and going into the recording studios, I realized that no one was going to actually let me play the drums on a record. So we had this drum machine called the LinnDrum machine. So I had to learn how to program. Then you had this Casio keyboard by the company called Casio. So I was forced to learn how to program because no one wanted me to play instruments.
Why? Sorry to ask a dumb
and,
question,
and,
but
and
like,
that's because
yeah,
it was cheaper to steal a loop
okay,
with everything already mastered on the good
yeah,
part of the record than
right,
for me to try to go in there and play it.
yeah,
Because then
okay,
back then studio time was expensive.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
if it
yeah.
took me 4 hours to play these instruments, it might only took a DJ 30 minutes to find the loop.
To find the loop, yeah, okay,
Right? So I'm like, okay, me playing instruments is not going to work. I got to learn the drum machine and the SB12 and the LinnDrum and the Casio and the Korg. I had to learn, I wasn't playing like Stevie Wonder, but you had to learn how to play enough to make a song.
man, you would have had you would have brought like such a different perspective,
Mm,
and to those machines because you're coming in hot with huge amounts of classically trained, um,
right.
you know, music experience. So how
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah.
How did you pick it up quickly? Like, was it like a duck to water? Tell us about that.
Yeah. I think what it was, it limited me to only do what the machine could do. So even if I heard a string part, you would have to play the string through the keyboard with the drum machine, but it wasn't what I knew it should sound like if somebody actually played.
Yeah, yeah,
You understand? So
yeah,
I had to adapt to the concept of
yeah,
just, I hate to use this term, but dumbing it down,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I,
Because
I
you're
had to just,
constrained. Yeah,
yeah, I had
yeah.
just nothing that I can do. Is just,
That would have
I couldn't go
sucked.
to, yeah. So my music always had a pop feel because that's what I
Yeah,
wanted, but it was never as hard as a Public Enemy record
yeah. Okay. Yeah,
or Run DMC record or even Behind You a
yeah,
Naughty by Nature record. It was because
yeah,
I didn't feel it to be that hard, but um it was a learning experience and from doing that I got into music publishing and EMI then Sony. So um so that's how I got into the industry by being a producer technically before being a rapper.
yeah. And so, like, how does cadence functions in your writing? Like, walk us
I
through all of that.
Yeah, I think the cadence is where Motown had a rhythm cadence of swing. So Motown had a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, right? That's a Motown. It's swinging so you could dance. That's the swing. So rappers learned how to rap. Catch me maxing, cooling and relaxing, staying in style, wearing high fashion. Start the clapping, finger snapping, the music's pumping. I keep on rapping. I'm on the mic tonight, inciting a fight so tight with lights. So let's get hype, right? That's the rap. so that was the cadence because it was swinging. It had that
Yeah,
The James Brown feel, right? Where
love that. Yeah,
where the pop music, the Bee Gees, using that as an example, the
yeah,
swing wasn't that swinging, but it was still rhythmic. So by time I started to write pop, I
yeah,
wasn't writing like what I just showed you.
yeah,
That was swing, calling it swing writing when things are like swinging. Like they go, "Hey, that's groovy, man. It's swinging." You know? That's what they used to
yeah,
call it back in the day, right?
yeah,
I wasn't writing like that because that wasn't my personality. I
yeah,
would write, my name is Lance Romance. So I would write more like the Bee Gees of rap. So I would write in the middle of the night when you're feeling uptight. Lance Romance will make you feel all right. There's no need to
yeah.
tease. I'm only here to please, to keep your soul and mind and body at ease. I was smooth,
Nice.
right?
Yeah,
So
nice.
that pop made me smooth because that's all I heard growing up in Texas.
Yeah.
I didn't get swing until I came back to New York.
Break that down a little bit more in terms of how you use breaks and transitions. Like,
Right, so breaks, yeah, so the music that was considered soul music always had a part which was appealing to where people could dance, right?
yeah,
So in R&B music back then, it was that they call the break, right? And the break is where you felt you can get loose or you could express yourself a little bit more. If you were a musician, you can get loose during that little break.
yeah, yeah.
Or if you were a dancer, you could really show your style or your flair.
The
Or
breaks are
if you was a
awesome.
rap,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
were right, because the break made you feel like that's your solo moment.
That's your bit. Yeah, yep, yep,
That's your bit, right? So
yeah, yep,
now that's the soul part. In
yep.
pop music, which we call the white traditional,
Oh,
they were really making the break, but they were still creating the bridge.
uh-huh. Got it.
And the bridge was another melody that took the music to a higher level before it went back to the chorus,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
the bridge. They
yeah.
didn't call it the break. The black music was the break, and then the white music was more the
The
bridge.
bridge. Yeah.
The break, the bridge. So
Same thing.
that's about, yeah. It's just, but that is about as far as I can, I'm breaking it down so that
Yeah, yeah.
anyone that's listening, they're
Yep.
gonna realize, yeah, that makes sense. When people go back to listen to this conversation, they'll be like, yeah, they'll listen to some old, black music, Motown or jazz, Miles Davis,
Yeah.
Lionel Hampton, whoever, and they'll realize Quincy Jones was, the master. What Quincy did was he knew how to bridge the gap between a break and a bridge. That's what made Quincy Jones know how to write those hits for Michael Jackson.
So
Quincy
good.
knew how to write the records for The Wiz because Quincy was a musician and a conductor and a
Yeah.
composer. So Quincy knew how to play both sides. He knew how to go make a Frank Sinatra record and then turn around and go make some Motown music. So that's why Quincy Jones stood out, because he knew how to make a bridge sound like a break and how to make a break sound like a bridge.
Bridge.
Yeah. And Quincy
That's
Jones is the genius,
that's crazy. Let's let's
Eh, eh,
uh
eh,
let's
yes.
let's flip and talk about the Sensation EP. So, um
Yes.
you produced but unreleased EP, Sensation.
Yes.
Let's talk about like what genre are we talking about here and how does it showcase your range?
Well, the Sensation EP, which I did a record that was released. You can make a note of this. It was called Love for Ukraine. It was during the war, right? Ukraine had the war. And
Yeah.
I made a record to support Ukraine during that time. And that music was basically disco, dance, more disco in that sound.
Yeah.
So the Sensation is really part two, except for the Sensation features a few records by the Bee Gees and Donna Summer, very,
Wow.
very influential. Love to Love You, Baby,
Yeah.
Shadow Dancing by Andy Gibb. Um,
Yeah.
and I wanted to feature these records in a creative way to show my cadence, but I couldn't release it independently. So I had to wait for the majors. So I will be releasing this on the major because I can't get it released if I don't release it through the majors. So that's why I had to wait. But it's done. But I'm gonna probably work with another producer that a lot of people are familiar with, named Benny Blanco. Benny Blanco is the husband of Selena Gomez.
Some crazy shit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Selena grew up in the same little town I grew up in Texas called
No.
Grand Prairie. In Grand Prairie. So
What are
and
the
then
odds?
Benny, yeah. And so Benny has been around the industry for years. So,
Yeah.
you bump into Benny or, like me, Pharrell and Timberland came from EMI or Sony, so you bump into people in the studios, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I just think that, um, in order for these records from Sensation to get the proper push, I'm forced to be on a major level, a major label in order for people to hear the quality of these songs like the Bee Gees or Donna Summer and, you know, um, other records that were familiar with Studio 54, which was like a big disco era
Huge.
club, huge.
Yeah.
So this EP is very Studio 54. That's the best way um, that I could actually express it. If people didn't know disco, it's not house music, it's
Yeah.
disco.
It's
And it's a
disco.
difference. It's disco. And if I get to work with Benny Blanco, Benny knows how to really polish music he has his track record is tremendous, and it would be the first time of me allowing someone to really produce me, because I've always been my producer. But if I really want to go to another level as an artist, I have to merge with people that are making hits on the charts today. So
Today.
Benny would know, he
Yeah.
would know how to take what I do and take it to the next level and really represent, the Gibb brothers well. Um,
And you've had some crazy encounters with them, right? So let's talk a little bit like you met Andy Gibb, had the encounter. I
yes.
mean, just meeting that
Yes,
person is mind blowing, right? So like,
yes.
how did meeting him and all that interaction influence your approach to music, particularly as you're now starting to explore like disco sounds?
Okay. So for
Yep.
all the disco lovers out there, question is, do you know a couple of Andy Gibb's hit records that were produced by his brothers?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Wanna Be Your Everything, that was a big one, and Shadow
Yeah,
Dancing, just one of my favorites.
absolutely. Great. So I took those two records and put them on my new album, the EP Sensation. And it was because I made a promise. This is the first time I'm ever saying this. I made a promise to Andy before he passed away.
Wow, yeah.
Now, how did I meet Andy? I'm on tour, on the tour called the Raising Hell Tour with Run DMC, LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, and I dance with a group called Houdini. 86, the Raising Hell Tour. I'm only 2 years out of high school. I graduated in 84. Two
So cool.
years later, I'm in the midst of this.
Yeah.
We get to Hollywood. There used to be a store. There used to be a store where even artists went to get records called Tower Records. Tower Records, you can Google it, was on Sunset Strip, right? So even famous people went there to get records because it was just the hot spot. I meet I see Andy. I'm with all the rappers. We're all at Tower Records just getting new stuff, DJs, and I go, oh, I tell my friends, wow, that's Andy Gibb. They're like, who's that? I'm like, that's the younger brother from the Bee Gees. But they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but he's not the Bee Gees. I'm like, yeah, but he's the younger brother. Now, you got to remember, those guys are from New York. They probably never watched when he was on Top of the Pops or Solid Gold, those shows that I used to see in Texas, right?
Right. Yeah.
They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
they were
They
probably
wouldn't have seen that.
watching
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
they were watching Soul Train.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
yeah.
you understand? They were
Yeah.
watching that.
Yep.
Maybe American Bandstand,
Yeah.
maybe they might have caught him. Anyway, I went up to him and I said, "Hey, what's up, Andy? I'm Lance. I'm dancer for the group Houdini." And I said, "I grew up skating to your record, and it was my first time I had a crush." And I was like, "I would love to make that record over." And he was like, "Yeah, but you're rap and hip hop. They would." I'm like, "Yeah, but I like your music. I would love to make it over." And he said, I don't think that would work because it's not so popular for that genre. Do you understand?
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, but I like it. You know, like I like it. I don't care what my friends like. And then he says, "Where are you from, mate?" Because he's Australian, right? He's Australian, so I
Uh,
didn't really know where
yeah.
he was from, but he had your accent.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I said, "I'm from Texas."
Yeah.
And then I said, "I was born in New York, raised in Texas." I said, "We got a concert tonight in Long Beach Arena. I would love to give you some passes to show up." Make a long story short, I gave him my pass. You know, back in the day, you have this a
Yeah.
laminate, and you have it like on your neck.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gave him mine. I gave him mine to
Oh,
say,
wow.
hey, because I didn't know how he would get tickets.
Get
Do you
in. Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
How would he get in? And if people really don't know Andy Gibb, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I said, hey, keep this. He was laughing at me. Back then, he was dating this girl that was with him, Victoria Principal.
Yeah, right.
Very pretty girl, you know, very pretty girl. Um, so to make a long story short, we went to go do the concert. He didn't show up. Thank God. You know why? Google it. 1986, Long Beach Arena. It was a riot. The Bloods against the Crips. It was a gang fight in the middle of the concert. I was like, thank God this guy didn't show up. Can you imagine him going to this first rap concert and it's gang related?
Holy crap, it was. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like a
19
massive riot. Oh, shit.
massive riot. Do you
That would have
understand?
been catastrophic.
Can you
Totally
imagine? Can you
catastrophic.
can you imagine this could have happened? Can you imagine? I give him my laminate and imagine him being the
Oh,
proper white boy.
he is
If he would have got something happened, I would have felt terrible. Do you understand? So thank God he didn't make it because Long Beach is a little further out than Hollywood. That would have been the worst. Imagine the first rap concert he goes to, it's a riot.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that was a bit of divine intervention.
Thank God, yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I meet up with him the next day for lunch. Because we had to stay in LA because of the riots. We didn't get to fly out. So we stayed. I remember we stayed in LA. I hooked back up with him. We went to lunch um in the Valley, near Universal Studios. Anyway, he told me he lived in Miami. I eventually go see him within the next 6 to 8 months, something like that in Miami. We were on the Def Jam tour at that point. And that tour was headlined by LL Cool J, Houdini, a group called Eric B. and Rakim, in case a lot of people not familiar with Rakim, is one of the best MCs in the history of music. And a rapper that a lot of people didn't know at the time called Will Smith, the Fresh Prince, you know, DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith. So we're on the tour called the Def Jam Tour, like the record label Def Jam. And Will Smith wasn't on Def Jam, but the tour was called Def Jam because it was LL Cool J's tour, and he was on Def Jam. So anyway, in the middle of the tour, I wind up leaving. I wind up leaving the group Houdini as a dancer because I wanted to focus on my music, right? So I was in the middle of making my album called Stop and Listen,
Yep.
and I wanted to get Andy on my first album.
Ah, yeah.
But back then, it wasn't easy to get a pop artist sample cleared, the record. Do you
Right.
understand? The
Yeah.
permission, right?
Yeah.
It was a process.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna finish my album. I said, but one day I'm gonna redo these records. This is in 87.
Yeah, wow.
The next year, 88, going into 89 or 88, he passed away. The drug overdose or something like that.
Yeah.
I was devastated.
Yeah. I
I
think
was
everyone was
devas-
devastated.
I was and you
Yeah.
gotta understand, because I skated to his music and liked him as a kid, and to grow up liking him and seeing him get taller and bigger and more famous, and then bumping into him as I got older to
That'd have
have
been
a
crazy.
conversation. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I never got to tell the story because in this new world we live in, no one would care. But I think it would be nice for people to understand that he was a good guy, even though the demons of the entertainment, you know, the drugs or whatever happened. I don't know per se the details, but when I went to see him in Florida, he wasn't doing well. But I was only a dancer. I didn't really have money like that. Like I couldn't really do anything to help him. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't financially able to do any, and he didn't ask for anything, but I wish I could have. Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah. It's hard.
86, 86, 87. It's a different world out there.
It's a totally
You,
different world. Yeah.
so that's a whole different world, you know? So 87, we meet in Florida, and I couldn't get him on my record, Stop and Listen, which is my first album, Lance Romance, Stop and Listen. And I never told anyone what I was trying to do because I didn't want anyone to laugh at me on why would you want that on your first album? You know what I mean? Rap was a little harder. Why would I want
Yeah.
that style of pop? But that's what
Yeah.
I liked. I like pop music. So,
Yeah. And that's
you know,
cool.
you know, so now 2025, I don't think the record would come out. I think I'm going to sign to Universal or a division of Universal, and the record would come out
Yeah.
2026, you know, but
Yeah.
I would love, I think at some point, um, it would be cool to meet his only daughter, his only kid, you know?
Yeah.
And she's Australian. She lives in Australia. I think it would be
Yeah.
cool that somebody current today, Lance Romance, I'm not big like Jay-Z or Will Smith, but the fact that I got 50 albums
Yeah.
and I knew her father
Yep.
and I want to make the record. Like maybe she doesn't care, but I just think there's a respect factor that
Yeah.
goes with it because I think the process, even with Universal saying yes, I think technically she would still have to sign off on it, right?
Right. Right.
Because the estate still has her name attached to it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but I think it would just be cool that she would see somebody in modern time
Yeah.
still loves and respects her father.
Andy, yeah. I think that would
Right?
be fantastic. I mean,
Because
how
who else would want to do it? You would have to live my life to already
yeah.
know Andy. Do you understand?
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, we've got to get her on the we've got to get her on the podcast. I mean, I'm based in Australia anyway, so we've got to somehow connect with her and yeah, get together. I think it's a great idea. And you know
And
what? If it was
yes,
my dad or I think anyone's parents who, you know, were like, you know, quite popular and things like that, it's I just feel like it's a real honor to their name, right? It's just
right.
mate, it's just beautiful. It brings something into the modern era. Um
Yeah, yes. Yeah, and the fact that I'm 59, so the timeline when people do the real research, the homework, the touring, me being in Florida, the Def Jam tour, the Raising Hell tour, him being in LA, they'll realize it's the truth, like the sequence, because of my age, the timing, and people, you know, could see it is because it's not like I'm going to get a big chip on my shoulder. Like, in order for me to like Andy Gibb, you had to actually like Andy Gibb. It's
Andy
not
Gibb.
like I'm gonna,
Yeah.
it's not like it was like rappers wanted to sample James Brown. You familiar with James Brown, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All, all,
He's
all
awesome.
the rappers,
Yeah.
all the rappers want the James Brown record.
Wow, feel good.
There
Sorry
you
about
go.
that. I had to break it
No, no,
down.
it's okay. But you get the point.
Yeah.
So for me to say I want an Andy Gibb record, that's different. Who wants an Andy Gibb record? I do. I
Lance
love
Romance,
Andy Gibb.
baby.
And I'm right because that was the
That's
thing
it.
too. A lot of people don't know this. Andy Gibb was such a good-looking guy, and he was so smooth
Right.
that I wanted to be the rap version of him. And
That's
so
so
that's
cool.
how my name, Lance Romance, stuck.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I could be smooth, I want to be like that guy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That's so
So
cool.
he was cool. He was like the first stud that was
Yeah.
cool, you know? Anyway, that's my Andy Gibb story. God bless the dead and his family. I love
God bless the
Andy
dead.
Gibb. I always pray, for his soul, and it'll be great. And I just think doing that record over and putting it on, it would have to be on Capitol Records, which is through Universal. It would just do it justice. I wouldn't want to try to do it independent and not really give it its flowers, as they say, give it flowers,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I wanted it to be right, especially, and I think the cool part is I'm from marching band and no instruments. I believe from what I heard, his daughter is a music teacher in Australia. So
Right.
that would be kind of cool that, that she knows music, I know music, that
That's
she
definitely
teaches.
cool. Yeah.
That's cool, because how many rappers are really musicians like that in that sense?
We should all get together. I'd love to
And because
help.
you play too.
I
You're
do.
a
I
musician
do.
yourself, right?
Yeah,
You know,
classically
so
trained. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And who knows, maybe with me, you and her, we have a jam session or something?
Let's do it. That'd be cool. That's
I
so
need
good.
to I need to get my passport and come there and just do a show there.
Well, that would be so good if, like, I can sort everything out on this side. Yeah,
Yeah, that
whatever
would
you
be
need.
great.
Yeah, no, that would be really good, actually. Let's, so I'm just thinking, like, there's just so much we can talk about, and, we just talked about Andy Gibb, the encounter. It's just such a beautiful thing, and, it's just such a shame that the world's lost him, right? Um, and thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that, and we'd definitely love to get together. And just off the back of that, what about we start talking to the fans about, what's next then for Disco EP?
Yeah,
Maybe we can start talking about that. When are you planning to release it? What's your timeline? What's your vision around it?
I would love to do the two videos, Wanna Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing. I would love to do the videos in Australia.
Come down,
I
baby.
think Right. I think it would just be a beautiful tribute. I think that would be so great for his daughter to
It would be.
see, somebody honoring her father from this generation. I'm mixed, Black, Puerto
Yeah.
Rican, Italian. He's Australian. Like, the combination of the melting pot of culture
Yeah.
is something unique that I think the world needs it. I think it would also be a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? I think
I
that
I
because
love that.
everything sounds the same, and you
Yeah.
get a guy from the Bronx, raised in Texas, the guy from New York, raised from Texas,
Crazy,
wanting to
yeah.
do wanting to do the Australian Andy Gibb over. That concept is just crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doing it, maybe the remix or something with
I've lost him
violins,
again.
you know?
I think that would be amazing to do it down in Australia. Um, the videos, that would be incredible.
I would love I would love to
Yeah.
do it and have her give me ideas that she might have wanted to see in her dad's music,
Yeah.
especially because she's creative,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So to
Okay.
create with her the video with the style, it would just be like an honor. I think the industry would love that. It would be like a tribute, because who else would do that? Do you understand?
I
Like,
love that. Yeah.
no one else. I don't know another rapper. First of all, he would have to be in his 50s to know Andy Gibb. Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like none of these young guys that do mumble rap, or you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
and they would have never met him anyway. You would have had
So
to
what's
been
Andy's
in that
daughter's
time.
what's Andy's daughter what's her name? Do you know her name?
Oh, I'm
We need
not
to
sure
we
what
need to
the
get in contact with her and get all this happening.
yeah.
I'm super
We got to
keen.
we got to get
Yeah.
this. We got to get this happening. The the
Yeah.
the other thing, that I wanted to get to tell you was that by doing disco music early on, Andy also remembered that I was doing salsa music, because I have about 10 salsa
Oh, yeah.
albums. So I'm part Puerto Rican, so I got a lot of
Oh, he's gone
Latin
again.
salsa music. So So the salsa
He's out
music,
again.
I'm gonna send you the Sensation album.
Yeah.
I'm gonna email it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
The
Love it.
5 tracks,
Love it.
the EP, so then that way you can hear it. And when you hear my cadence on the, I wanna be your everything and shadow dancing, you're gonna see how well
Yeah.
this worked together, you know? That's what it is.
I can't
You
wait.
know, like when Run
It's
DMC
gonna be
did the
awesome.
record over, when Run DMC did the record
Yeah.
over with Aerosmith, Walk This Way. Do you remember this record, Walk This Way?
That was huge. Yeah. Walk
Okay.
this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they collaborated. So I always wanted to collaborate that with Andy Gibb, like that type of collaboration,
Yeah.
because that
That
was
is so
new back
good.
then. But anyway, we got the record. So there you have it. Any more questions? What do you want to hear and go?
So Lance, that is
Yes.
incredible. I can't wait for that to land in the inbox. We're going to get it
Yes.
all going. It's all going to be happening in Australia. Is there any final things you want to shout out to your fans or any final things you want to say before we wrap up the podcast?
Yes, I like to say I'm going on a tour. The first quarter of 2026 is called Lance Romance 50 Albums, One Showgirl Tour. 50 Albums, One Showgirl Tour. Go to my website, go to my Instagram. I'm going to do about 27, 28 dates. And then I like to take it to Australia, bring it overseas.
Yeah, that is awesome. And is there anything else dropping after that or through that? Or if anyone wants to get in contact with you before that drops and you start kicking off the tour?
I think the only thing I'll be doing is getting ready to start promoting my Christmas album called Christmas on Ice, because it's going to be holiday season. I have a Christmas album.
Awesome.
Called Christmas on Ice.
Hopefully we can get you back on the podcast like maybe mid-December and we can talk about Christmas on Ice. That would be epic.
Christmas on Ice. It's house music. It's Christmas meets house music and rap.
Oh, I love that shit. I love it. I just want to shout out to all the fans. Thanks so much for listening. Lance, we are very blessed to have you on the podcast and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.